It's time for MacBreak Weekly. We're going to have a lot of fun. Alex Lindsay's back in studio along with Rene, Ritchie, and, of course, Andy Ihnatko. We'll talk about the iPad Pro now that we're a week in. Some great reviews, some problems. What about the screen quality? We'll also talk about the pencil. We'll even attempt to break one off, right? No, we won't. I promise we won't do that. And Black Friday deals, they're surprisingly good this year. It's all coming up next on MacBreak Weekly.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for MacBreak Weekly is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 482, recorded Tuesday, November 24th, 2015. BlackBerry and Bieber. MacBreak Weekly is brought to you by Drobo, a family of safe and expandable yet easy-to-use storage arrays. Drobos are designed to protect your important data forever. Visit drobo.com/twit and use the code TWIT100 to save $100 off a Drobo Mini, Drobo 4Bay, or Drobo 5N. And by Bowl and Branch, the most comfortable sheets I've ever slept on. If you order right now, they'll give you 20% off your entire order, plus free shipping. Go to BOLlandbranch.com and use the offer code MacBreak. And by Texture, the mobile app that lets you access the world's most popular magazines anytime, anywhere, using your phone or tablet. For your free 30-day trial, visit texture.com/MacBreak. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, the show where we cover the latest news from Apfel. Und we have the best Apfel coverers right here with us. Mr. Andy Ihnatko from the Chicago Sun-Times.
Hello.
Thinking of retiring his canvas. The painting is done.
Yes.
Moving on.
So a good artist knows when to move on, and usually that's when the canvas starts to sag and make you look pretty.
That's what I wait for. That's the moment I wait for.
That's when Picasso stopped working on Guernica, because they thought, I either got to restretch this canvas or move on to some cartoon work.
Also here, cartoonist himself, Mr. Rene Ritchie from imore.com. Good to see you, Rene.
Unglaublich, Leo. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And Mr. Alex Lindsay in the studio today. Good to see you, Alex.
Good to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Where have you been since we saw you last?
India, Rwanda, and the most dangerous New York.
I thought you were going to say San Rafael.
I was going to say classic.
I've been to San Rafael. I think that was it. I think those are the only.
It's good to have you. Welcome back.
Good to be back.
I was just thinking this morning as I saw Ashley Esqueda using her iPad Pro and a pencil to follow along with Bob Ross as he did some puffy little clouds. And then I saw, I think, Serenity post a picture and Harry McCracken post a picture from drawing in the air. I'm realizing just as when the Laser Writer came out and you saw all these self-done publishing efforts with 25 fonts, I think we're going to enter the era of bad cartooning. I feel like we're entering that now. Everybody has to show their prowess.
A lovely
with the
cloud, a happy little tree. There's nothing wrong with that. Just cerulean blue.
Actually, Ashley's was pretty good. But and an interesting idea. She at least made a video along, as she's doing that, so we could see her following along. And the iPad Pro held up pretty well. In fact, it even looked like it was almost a canvas on that easel.
I was. I know you guys already talked about it, so I won't talk. But what I was surprised at when I got the iPad Pro was that how much more responsive it was, even without the pencil. It just feels like it's the drawing is much faster.
Yeah, I haven't gotten my pencil yet. Have you?
I haven't gotten a pencil yet.
We're in that weird position where we ordered one the first day, the first hour, and it's coming, but everybody else has already gone to the store to get theirs. And I don't know if I want two. Maybe I should get two because I might well lose it, right?
A home pencil and a work pencil, Leo.
Oh, what was I thinking?
Get one for the car as well, apparently.
A day pencil and a night pencil. A weekend and a week.
It does feel as if carrying the iPad Pro. I need an iPad Pro for home and work if I'm going to do that. It seems like here's Bob Ross with his lovely hair, and Here's Ashley with
She should have gone for the afro. Like Ashley would usually.
Wouldn't that be funny if she put an afro on? But it's not about the fact that how she paints or whether she's a good painter or not, but the fact that instead of she's got an easel and instead of a canvas, she's actually got an iPad Pro, and at that size, it's kind of it's big enough to really feel like you're doing a painting. So the size also is important to that experience. It's bigger than their iPad. I was pointing this out
yesterday, but it's one of the first times where you can actually turn the iPad and it turns the drawing with you like a canvas actually would, instead of the drawing kind of staying stable.
Oh, it doesn't rotate?
No, it does. It rotates the way like you would imagine it would. And with Procreate specifically, you could put two fingers on and turn the canvas within the canvas at the same time. So it really does feel like it's on the desk. It feels like you're drawing on a paper or an easel or something. It's really cool.
And then the pen guy says it's a good pen too, and that's kind of intriguing. Ashley's painting, I'm afraid, not quite as good as
handwritten notes. I mean, there are a lot of people who are big fans of like Samsung phones and tablets because it comes with a stylus.
Yeah,
and
I'm one of them.
They like taking handwritten notes, and they can capture all that sort of stuff. I can't wait for a really good handwritten notes app that specifically takes advantage of the iPad Pro and the pencil.
With OCR, I think that'd be fantastic.
What I was
post OCR, the best one would be the ones that they let you take notes wherever you want. You can see the notes as you drew them, but it's doing OCR behind the scene, so that if you want to later on do a search for notes I took about the anti-totalitarian project, it will find it for you and then show you the relevant image.
I put them in the notes, Leo, but Serenity did tests against the Surface Book and the Wacom Cintiq just to see the difference in latency and other factors. And the iPad Pro came out really, really good.
Yeah. Mike Hurley, who, of course, we all know, Relay FM, writing in as a guest post at the Pen Addict, says, nobody's really talked about the pencil from the point of view of somebody who likes to write notes as with a pen. He was wondering if the Apple Pencil would give him the digital handwriting experience he had wanted for so long, and he said it did. He noted a little latency, but he said it's fine. I can live with it. He says the line doesn't follow 100%, right there. But I mean, given what's going on, and he loves, as anybody would, the palm rejection. That's really important for this to work because it's so big you have to rest your hand on the screen. What I was looking for from the Apple Pencils is to be able to write naturally on the screen in the size I usually write. By the way, that's something else that's different. On a notepad, a Note 5 or even a Surface Book, I tend to write big, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
I would like to write the normal size.
You can write tiny on this.
He says I was able to write naturally on the screen and visually match what I would expect to see. He has terrible handwriting.
But I'm glad he's doing this because I've forgotten how to write. I've used a keyboard for so long that when I have to fill out a check, it's almost painful now. So I'm glad people are still doing this.
I always fill out when I fill out the customs forms or whatever. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this?
Oh.
Like an animal.
Like,
my hand does not move.
Well, that was another great thing about the iPad Pro. I had to sign an NDA that came in the mail while I was out at lunch, but I had the iPad Pro with me, and it was just such a like a TV commercial sort of moment where I'm looking at this form that is 8.5 by 11 exactly on the sheet of paper. I'm filling it out like with the pen. I'm filling it out with the PDF form fill out tools. I'm signing it with the pencil, and it was so good that instinctively I did a screenshot, then took a picture, then realized that wait, I can't use this in the review because this is an NDA and I can't.
nothing like publishing the NDA.
Yeah, exactly.
There are people, and I think there's an app. I don't remember the name. You guys will remember it. That turns your iPad Pro basically into a Wacom tablet for your desktop. Yeah. So that's another interesting use that I hadn't really thought of. I mean, it's an expensive tablet, but you also get Astropad. That's it. Yeah.
That's what I said. They would say, am I mute?
No. I was talking and I didn't hear what you said.
In fact, Rich Stevens, who does the Diesel Sweeties strip, and Danielle Corsetto, who does another great cartoonist, had a recent podcast where they were talking about the differences between the two. And they were I cite this because that's my only knowledge of how much these tools cost. And he was talking about how like the Cintiq gear would cost up $2,000 or $3,000 just for the tablet itself. And on that basis, although the iPad Pro isn't one-to-one the same experience, for a lot of people, it'll be the same thing. I actually lent my pencil to Phil Noto, who is one of my favorite comic book artists. He's doing this wonderful Chewbacca series for Marvel. And to get his take on it because he couldn't find a pencil, and he also gave it high marks. Not saying that it would replace a Cintiq tablet, but for preliminary stuff he would do before he would move on to real tools, it's certainly suitable. And for a lot of artists, it would be just as good. But again, not at his level, but at a lot of people. So I don't think anybody's saying it's a replacement for a Cintiq, but it's impressing a lot of people.
Does AstroPad support the pressure sensitivity?
I don't. In the beta she was using, I don't think it did, but I think that will be part of the release version.
Yeah, because it came out first on iPhone and iPad, regular iPad, which didn't support that, so there'd be no reason to write that in. It looks like they're going to do an upgrade for iPad Pro. So yeah, that's cool.
Now that I've got it. It does say that the iPad Pro support is in beta right now.
Right.
But I was using it the other day for Photoshop stuff, and it was working pretty good.
So Mike Hurley didn't use drawing programs to take his notes. He used a couple of note-taking programs, old ones that have been around for a long time, Notability and GoodNotes. What do you guys recommend? If I were going to do handwriting as opposed to drawing?
I do it in Notes.
Yeah, the Notes app is good for that.
The Notes app's good. What I was surprised with the Notes app was that it had a ruler. Did they just add that?
Yeah, that's for the Pro, I think.
And I have to admit that I popped it open. I opened the ruler. I was like, why did someone not do this? And then of course, immediately, I was really excited about the ruler. Immediately, I wanted a protractor.
The best thing is that if you're using the pencil,
I want a compass.
I need a protractor. I can go back to drafting school.
What do they call those curvy things? I want one of those too.
Exactly. I was immediately like, this isn't enough. Why isn't someone written this?
If you're using the pencil, you just put 2 fingers down on the screen and it pops the ruler right under your fingers, and it draws a straight line for you. Then you take your fingers off, and it's gone. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Prince David in our chat room says he's not sure if the pencil is as accurate and sensitive as a Cintiq. You've used this? You must have used a Cintiq.
We have a bunch of them. Yeah.
I wish I could get Burt Monroy on this subject. He's a guy who's been using a Cintiq for years, since they came out.
I talked to a couple artists that work a little further south.
Yes, I know where you mean.
And they had all played with it. I guess someone brought it in for them to look at. And I guess the response was they thought it was as good. A lot of them use Surfaces, when they're wandering around.
Really?
And no, they use Cintiqs at work, but then they use Surfaces at home.
Well, Surface has been around for a while.
And they can do it. And they said the only thing that was really missing, they really wanted Photoshop. I mean, they want, they want Photoshop.
And Photoshop, Sketch, and Photoshop. What do they call the little Photoshop part
Sketch
of the iPad?
and Fix.
To them, it's not the same. I mean, they really wanted, they said, if Photoshop ran on the iPad Pro, they'd probably prefer it. But
what about the article from DisplayMate saying that the iPad Pro screen is not as good as other iPad screens?
Apple's been upfront about that. The problem is not the screen itself. The problem is when you put that many pixels in a display, the technology, there's compromises in the technology. So there's just so many pixels there. They can't do everything they can with full color gamut and range and everything that they can do with the smaller.
But if you're a photographer who's thinking of using Lightroom or one of the Photoshop tools on an iPad Pro,
I don't know if I do color correction on it.
Yeah. No, so it's not. Okay, that's interesting.
It's enough to do sRGB. Like if sRGB is your target, I forget what it is. It's like 109 or something. The other one is just a little bit better. But for me, the reds and magentas aren't quite as saturated as the iPad Air. I prefer that because I find like on the full color gamut, it's a little bit blown out to my eyes. But that's really a kind of a personal thing. But because they're doing the photo alignment and because they're using the oxide. I forget the film layer oxide technology. It looks like a phenomenal panel. So it's not quite as good in one area, but it's better in other areas. And overall, it looks pretty good.
sRGB is 709, and here's the graph from DisplayMate. The white outside shape is the full gamut, and you see it's not. I mean, there's the iPad Pro Air 2 and Mini 4. They're not that off. I mean, in fact, I would say that the Pro and the Air 2 are pretty almost identical. It's the Mini that's a little bit
shifted.
I think the average
a little bit better, but I can't tell.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if the graph says, I mean, this is in color gamut anyway. So that it shows that it's not the full sRGB gamut by any means. And yeah, maybe you'd prefer the shift into the green on the Mini 4. I don't know.
Again, that kind of stuff, it's so close it becomes subjective at that point.
I think so. And I think, this is one of the risks of looking at something like these DisplayMate ratings. They're using tools. They're using hardware to do this. And you may not see that.
My opinion after using it for the weekend is it's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Yes. Jessica Jones looks fantastic on that screen.
Yeah.
There are people who have to understand, who are the difference between RGB and CMYK in editing apps is the difference between being able to work on this device and not being able to work on a certain device. And those are the people that are going to look at those kind of graphs really carefully. Other people probably not. It's interesting data, but it's not necessarily relevant data.
Actually, color accuracy is not.
It's like counting the number of rat hairs per metric
Yeah, there's
ton
a difference.
of breakfast cereal. You know?
And I could definitely see people running entire art classes on these. You know what I mean? Just having like 10 of them and people come in and that's their art board.
Seems like there's much more error, by the way, just to point this out, on the iPad Air 2. Right. It would be the least good of the three that we just talked about.
I would consider them all a little. I mean, I would.
It depends how many units they tested to get like an average for those things.
Oh, that's a good point too, right? It's not just. I mean, they're all probably slightly different. Each individual.
Apple
iPad
does do a lot of individual color calibration, but again, when you're going across a line of products where they make millions of them, it's different. And also, a lot of these reports conflate color space with color accuracy, like how accurate it is within that color space.
Right.
So it's hard for me to take these as absolute measures. So I just every time I put them all side by side and I look at them and I try to tell what the differences are. And I can see differences, but sometimes I like one or the other just better.
Well, and the other thing is that we just have to remember to put this in perspective. The environment that you're sitting in is going to change your impression of the color space
around
far more than any of these little numbers. I mean, whether we're here or we stand outside or we're in a cafe, all of that's going to change the color of it way more than any of these little details.
Conclusions for the 2015 iPads: all very good to excellent, top tier displays. You know what's funny? The best of the new bunch, the iPad Mini 4. And I don't know, but I have the Mini 4, which is my actually preferred iPad.
It's amazing.
I really do think that's a good looking screen. I've always thought, gee, this confirms what my kind of general impression was. Is this looks better than any of the iPads I've had to date.
I've also found Anantech's screen analysis, I think, to be better than DisplayMate's.
Really?
So I'm going to look forward
that's
to
interesting.
Anantech's readout of this stuff.
I mean, DisplayMate kind of invented this whole category, right? They
but I mean,
software.
I don't know what they're doing with all this stuff, and I know Anantech is just reviewing it.
Right, that's all they care about. Right. It does. DisplayMate does give the iPad 4 first place, best in every single test category except contrast ratio, where it is very good, but not best. The iPad Air 2 has a very good display overall. And then they say the iPad Pro is a large tablet, double the screen area of the iPad 2, triple the area of the iPad Mini 4. So you get benefit of the large screen, but as you guys all pointed out, you sacrifice a little bit to get that many pixels on a screen.
After 15 minutes of looking at any one of them, my brain can't tell the difference.
I think that's really true. It's funny, they use a metric called the just noticeable color difference, JNCT. That's the actual metric that they use. All right, well, there. I thought I'd bring that up because I've seen the articles and people, talked about.
No, and Apple will say that the panel maybe not on paper exactly the same as the other ones, but when you use them, the other stuff it equals out.
Yeah. I look forward to getting my pencil in 2 weeks. So frustrating.
You can get it at the store sooner.
I know I can. I could probably walk to the store today and get it. That's what's frustrating. But
they are coming out. I'm hearing from a lot of people that they walked into a store.
They're in the stores.
Even they went to Best Buy and they got a bunch. They're if you really want one, keep your eye out and you'll be able to find them.
And I was told that they will almost certainly be in the stores on Friday for Black Friday.
Oh.
By someone at an Apple
Friday,
store.
Go to the store.
They were like, oh, they're definitely have them for Apple's. Yeah, for Black Friday.
Actually, let's talk about Black Friday deals in a little bit. We're going to take a break because I think this is the first year that Apple's really offering some surprising price cuts, and even more so from third-party channels, which is kind of shocking. We'll talk about that in a second. I want to talk to you about my Drobo. I love the Drobo. I think we were the first to do Drobo advertisements way back when. I know with Scott Bourne, we were among the first to talk about Drobo in general. Drobo is an amazing family of storage solutions, external storage arrays. I have the Drobo Mini. This is one that photographers, videographers, people who want a small 2 pounds portable Drobo with 4 drive bays, so you can go up to 8 terabytes in here. And if you want ultimate speed, you could put an SSD in each of these ports and really burn things up. And you know what they're doing now with the Drobos? I really like this. This little MSATA bay in here. I can open it up. I probably shouldn't do it with it on. You could do a lot of stuff with the Drobo on, but I'm not sure I should open up that bay. But the MSATA allows you to put a little SSD in there. I've got a 128 gig SSD. And that accelerates small file reads, which is really great for people like me who use Lightroom, Apple's Photos, or Aperture, or iPhoto. This really makes a huge difference. Of course, big file reads, you're going to get all the benefit of the Drobo array. I'm not going to say it's a RAID array because they do something a little bit better, a little bit different. The Drobo is amazing. This is the Drobo Mini. There's the Drobo 5D, the 5N. If you want a NAS, network attached storage, perfect for a media server or a file server. Of course, for a whole house or whole office backup solution, you just plug it into your switch or router and boom, it's online and ready to go. Apps let you back up data to 2 different cloud service providers or sync via BitTorrent sync. That's sweet. That's built in. It also lets you work well with Plex. So your Apple TV, if you've got Plex in the Apple TV or your other devices, this is a great Plex server for you. That's the 5N. And the thing that's so cool about Drobo, you saw me take off the panel. All of the Drobos have those great magnetic panels with informative lights that tell you exactly what's going on. I can see from the 3 green lights that I've got 3 drives in the bay, and they're all green. This, I haven't started putting anything on there, but there's I think it's blue light that'll go across. It'll show you capacity, so you know exactly how much capacity you have. And when you want to add another drive, this requires a minimum of 2, but when you add another drive, you just pop it in. You don't turn it off, power it down. They'll let you know if one of the drives is starting to fail. You pop it out, even while it's running. Put in a new one. It'll rebuild, and you're ready to go. I love Drobo. It's called Beyond RAID, and it is awesome. Another thing that they let you do, and they've done from day one, is mix and match drives. Because you know what? It's nice to use some leftover old drives. But in the old days of standard RAID, the smallest drive is the drive that all 4 of them, the size all 4 of them have to be. This way you can mix and match and get every bit of those bits.
And what I love about it is that so I've had Drobo. I don't know how many Drobos we have. So a lot
You've
of
got to be like the king of Drobo.
We have lots of Drobo, 8 drive ones and 12 drive ones, and I've got a bunch of 5. I have the 5N.
Have you seen this Mini yet? Because it's got
it looks awesome.
dual
I was like,
Thunderbolt.
I need one of those.
I have Thunderbolt on it as well as USB 3.
What's the read write on that? Do you know?
Well, it depends what kind of drives you put in there, obviously, right? I'll do a little test. Yeah.
But the big thing is that as it's kind of the holy grail of just kind of throw a new drive in and it just slowly updates. So okay, now that there's 4 terabyte drives out there, you add one as you run out.
You can expand it as you get new drives.
So you started with 1 terabyte, and now you're just slowly moving up.
You have like 4 1 terabyte drives. Then you get up to 3 terabyte. You put that in. Now you got more capacity. You get another one. Then you get a 4. You put it in. You rotate.
But you're not buying 4 terabytes at once when you didn't need them. So.
The network drives, of course, have gigabit Ethernet on them as well. Visit drobo.com to learn more. Actually, go to our page, if you would, drobo.com/twit. And when you use the code TWIT100, I wish I'd known this. You'll save $100. You know what? I have to remember to use our codes. You'll save $100 off the purchase of a Drobo Mini, a Drobo 4 Bay, or a Drobo 5N. $100 off with the offer code TWIT100. DROBO, drobo.com/twit. Welcome. Twit podcast listeners, they say on that page. That's nice.
And these new ones have gotten screaming fast.
I really like the MSATA having that cache drive in there. That is awesome. That is a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Really makes a difference. I'll fire up the Blackmagic. Do you still use that as a disk speed test?
Yep, that's the best one.
Yeah. So let me and this is on Thunderbolt.
And these are still spinning drives?
Yeah, these are cheap drives. I put in cheap laptop drives. First, I got to tell it which drive to use. Should we use the big files or the little files? What do you like to use?
Really enough. 5 just takes longer.
Okay, so it's mounting it. Hold on. See, it woke the Drobo up. Hello, Drobo. Hello, Drobo. So what size?
2 is fine.
2?
It gives you enough data.
I love this test. Do you still use that for?
Oh, that's great.
Is it? I mean, these are cheap drives. These are not.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
These are like Western Digital Reds or something.
No, those are great numbers.
171 megabytes per second,
drives.
Right? About the same for reads. It's awesome. Almost exactly. And what I like about this Blackmagic is you can see the checkboxes, what you could do.
Right.
Like, would you want to edit 4K video on this drive? That kind of thing.
Well, and I just want to say that.
Is that decent?
I'm old enough to say that. There was a lot of work on our end. Remember when we first did the first MacBreak?
Yeah, you couldn't edit 1080p video.
Yeah, that was that. But capturing from those cameras, we had those 2 huge X-rays that were just a little bit faster than this little box.
Now I think this is the 2012 MacBook. I'm using a really old, mid 2012 MacBook. But I don't know if you remember, I got one of those other world computing Mercury SSDs in here. I'm just curious what I'm getting on the Mercury. Yeah, see the Mercury SSD is nice, isn't it? But it's not as fast as the new ones because it's not on PCIe.
Right.
Right. It's on
the new ones will go. Yeah, they'll.
The new ones are incredible.
A lot.
But that's pretty good. I mean, my external drive is getting write speeds very comparable to the write speeds on the.
But if you put SSDs in there, I bet you there'd be a lot.
Oh my God! If I put SSDs in there, stand back, shut the front door. Apple is. I love stories like this. Apple is taking 94% of the profits in the entire smartphone industry.
Because we've seen everybody's numbers. We've seen what their costs were. We've seen what their profit margins are.
Is that true? No, we don't know.
No
Okay.
one knows.
This is IDC, but I think IDC has,
clickbait.
Is it clickbait?
Yeah.
They were responsible. See, this is the thing that I like. I mean, even if these numbers are, like within 50%, it's impressive.
Yeah.
Responsible for 13.5% of the smartphones shipped globally in Q3 2015. 13.5%, small fraction. But they got 94% of the profit. I kind of believe that. Samsung's struggling, right?
I think Apple's the only one who releases numbers still for those figures.
Yeah. So we don't. So it's kind of hard to.
But the reality is that you are looking at these massive numbers in India and China where they're selling, for no profit, or they're
that's
or
the
they're
thing.
trying
If you
to
sell
make
a $50 phone,
and a lot of them are also calculating losses because they're trying to penetrate the market.
Apple's on fuego in 2010.
Inferno.
And we have a
title. This is Apple value share in 2010 was 44%. 4 years later, they were up to 93%. Now they're 94%. So it's really jumped. Meanwhile, Microsoft down to negative 1%.
Microsoft. I always feel like,
11%.
Do they still make phones?
Yeah, they still make phones.
I mean, it's hard for companies like there's companies that I really like that just aren't profitable, and it concerns me because I want them to stay thriving and in business.
You know what I just did? Just for you, I bought a BlackBerry Priv just for you.
For the country. See, I would say it was a victory for Canada, but I don't know if any of that phone is actually made in Canada anymore.
Probably
it's assembled in Mexico. It's running an American operating system. I mean,
sad, isn't it? Is it running QNX? No.
No, it's running Android now.
Oh, that's right. It's Android.
Yeah.
That's why I bought it. I remember now. I didn't really want BlackBerry OS.
Actually, we appreciate your support, Leo.
I did it for you. I was thinking about you when I pressed buy, and I bought it directly from BlackBerry.
I mean, in the tradition of the Palm Pre and the BlackBerry Torch.
I've heard some people say that it is a little flimsy. Didn't you? Yeah, Jason Howell is our technical director and producer. He also hosts All About Android. You guys had several on him last week.
We had a couple on, Florence Ion, and then we had another one in studio. And
Joshua Vergara had one? Or?
Yep, he had one as well. I don't know. I just felt like the slide-out mechanism for the keyboard just kind of... They built the phone to be thin, and then when you slide it out, half the phone's going, extending out, and it just felt like it could be delicate. But that was in my very brief time with it. That could prove not to be an issue.
Well, but you also had a shootout where you saw who could type faster.
We did,
and the SwiftKey easily beat.
In two different instances.
It's the flow.
Well, I was doing the touchscreen keyboard tapping.
Oh, okay.
Ron was doing the swiping.
Flowing. He was impressive.
And then there were two BlackBerry Privs, and neither of the Privs won in the typing
Not even close.
It seems like we do a lot of work with a variety of different governments, and it just seems like all BlackBerry really has to do to keep the business that they have right now is just not look so far behind that they're completely embarrassed. Because a lot of them are all these government folks are all still on BlackBerry. They have another phone, oftentimes an Android or an iPhone. But all their government communications is all still.
Well, that's the pitch for the Priv. Get it? Privacy. Yep. That's the pitch.
Privilege.
Is that privilege?
That's
private. The pitch is that we're taking Android, the operating system you want with a huge app ecosystem, and putting BlackBerry security on top of it. So all the BBM stuff and all the secure server stuff is still there. It's interesting because Microsoft, had announced two bridges. They call them bridges. Trying to save their phone. One was to iOS apps and one was to Android apps. Still waiting to hear what's happening with the iOS apps. The idea was an iOS app developer, I don't know, Flappy Bird, could easily port his iOS app to Windows Phone and make it look native.
I think they used to cut that off.
The bridges of Microsoft County.
Bridges of Microsoft County. And they killed they just recently said, oh, you know, it turns out the Android one was really hard. And I haven't heard a thing about the iOS one. So I don't know what's happening there. But, you know, if they could just get one of the two working.
It wouldn't make any difference at all.
It might. You know, that new 950 and the 950 XL, they have great cameras. I think the operating system's fine. The problem is it doesn't run my banking apps because the banks have all
you still got to convince the developers to do even that little amount of
well, and apparently that's the issue.
Sell.
Yeah, it's just the tiny market.
Why should I? 1.4% of the market.
Yeah.
It is easier for you to buy an iPhone than me to put this app on Windows. It's probably the pitch.
Are we sad about RDO?
No.
RDO Chapter 11, belly up, losing $2 million a month.
It's a hard business, Leo.
I just wish I had a business that I could afford to lose $2 million a month and stay. I can't lose money anymore.
Can't lose a quarter.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if I lost $2 million a month, you're right. We'd be gone. I'd have burnt the building down and moved to Mexico by now.
Where the BlackBerry.
Imagine the interview where you as like new CEO or CFO saying, "I promise that we'll only lose $1 million a month under my. I've got a plan."
What went wrong with RDO? Because they were the first in the U.S. to offer streaming. Spotify came a year later.
Wasn't it the free tier? I think Casey Newton on The Verge did a good dissection of this, and it was they were far further behind on the free tier, maybe, and that let Spotify get more momentum.
They were the first to do an iPad app, and they had a beautiful one. I felt like it was very Mac and iOS friendly, you know, and the social experience felt very much like a Mac, you know, an Apple-y kind of thing.
Yeah.
And one of the guys said they spent a lot of time trying to get the custom queuing right. Maybe that wasn't as compelling a feature as they thought it was going to be. There was a lot of stuff in there.
They only had 7 million songs in the library, and everybody else has closer to 30 million.
There's that.
That could be it. I don't know.
And then they made a deal with the radio stations to get advertising. I think was out with the. Yeah.
I feel like they're really in the same. Spotify's in the same boat. It's because. And, you know, Pandora bought some of their intellectual. They didn't buy the company, but they bought some of RDO's intellectual property and hired some of their engineers. And they say they're going to do a streaming service. But the companies like Apple, I mentioned this on Twitter, Apple, Google, Microsoft, maybe to a lesser degree Amazon, who don't need to make money on their music services.
Yeah, exactly. Facebook eventually.
Their value adds. They're going to stick around. But the record companies are squeezing these streaming services. Adele says, I'm not going to put out 25 on a streaming service. You have to buy the album. And I think the record industry is just going to slowly increase the amount of royalties these guys have to pay till they're guaranteed to lose money. Because they foolishly don't, well, maybe not foolishly, I don't know. They don't want these streaming services to exist. But I think Apple doesn't have to worry about that, right?
No, Apple can do it. And the thing is that if you even look at Apple, you know, their Maps, which was considered a complete failure, is now still a large percentage of the way people do Maps on their iPhone, and it's just because it's more convenient. And so Apple Music will most likely continue to grow and continue to do whatever's in, not by leaps and bounds, nothing profound, but there's just a certain ease of use because it's all embedded into the system. You know?
And while Apple might have a somewhat tense relationship with the music industry, the music industry can't really turn its back on Apple because it's the #1 music store in the world.
Well, and again, I will constantly say the danger of the music industry is that Apple could, especially with Jimmy Iovine being there,
music industry.
They could, if they wanted to go down that path. if, you know, it's kind of one of those you want to, you know, not want to shake that tree too hard. I mean, Apple right now, it's convenient for them to work with the music industry, but they could do a lot of damage if they decided to become a publisher.
So Lisa bought the Adele album.
Nice.
And exactly what I thought was going to happen happened. I like streaming because you can preview something and hear all the songs and see if you want to buy the album. Right. And if you really like an artist, I think you should buy the album. Support him.
Right.
But I couldn't hear the album. I heard Hello was the only thing she released.
Right.
Nice song. She's a good singer. The rest of the album, not so great. In fact, but how many times has that happened in our lives where there's a great single?
With real albums, Leo, when you had to buy the whole CD or the whole album, and you do that,
and Apple
one song on
fixed
the radio
that.
was a good one.
Yeah.
Well, we used to call it in Sony. We used to call it cocaine marketing because it would be 3 hits. You needed 3 hits out of the out of the album.
The rest is filler.
They just look at as long as we
mannitol.
If we identified, as soon as we had decided it was 3 hits, because what would happen is the record company would bring in a producer to get 3 songs that they know that they can sell the album with, and then they let the band run with a lot of times they'd let the band run with the rest of it, so it would be all over the place because the band would have its own opinion about how it should run.
So my prediction is ultimately Pandora, Spotify, all of the standalone Deezer, Tidal music services will eventually follow RDO down the path.
Yeah, it's like
Apple will
railroads. It's
continue.
like anything else. There's a whole bunch of everything, and then it slowly fades.
You know who's in great position is Google, because when you buy Google Google Play Music, same price as Apple, but you get all the YouTube videos ad free.
Right.
Plus all the YouTube music. I know my son, that's his music jukebox is YouTube.
Right.
I think younger generation really likes keeping the music videos pumping through the TV. By the way, I saw your post, and they've pulled it down since Adele on Saturday Night Live. Somebody, bad man, somebody in the sound department released Adele's mic solo.
Right. And some people thought that it was the 5-1 mix, but it's too clean. You could hear the bass in the background.
You could hear a little bit. It was
You
like
hear the
coming
bass,
through the mic.
but you
It
hear
was
that
her.
was-
It was her channel alone, right?
Yeah. It still had so it was post effects, so you could hear the reverb.
You hear the echo.
You could hear the
Yeah.
reverb on it. But it does sound. I mean, I don't think it was the 5-1. I think that it was actually because there would be other things in the center. That would be other than her voice. And
it was her channel, which means somebody running the soundboard got
the
it.
question
right?
is that it could, the question is whether it was so good. A lot of times people do that and it's embarrassing. I don't know who did. So it was somebody that had.
Oh
one that,
God, yeah.
It was really cold.
She
it
was such a terrible singer.
Oh, it was Mariah Carey.
Yeah,
but it was
was all
cold
auto-tuned.
outside, and and she was such an. She obviously was having issues with her.
Right.
It's
And
impossible to sing.
It was pre-effect. It was very dry.
And but Adele, I mean,
she could sing.
Holy smokes! I mean, it was so
that's why some of the speculation was, Adele's people put this out,
and that's why I posted it. I was like, "There's no way that." I mean, they posted this to show off, but in our industry, those stems are like a lot of times the reason that it's probably an inside job was because usually those bands come in. We deal with a lot of the bands. They have their own audio engineer who manages all the stems, and they give us the stereo or the 5-1.
Precisely this reason, right?
Yeah, they don't want anyone else to touch their mix specifically because of that. So I have a feeling that they decided to let that go. But
NBC yanked the video. You can't listen to it anymore.
I mean, that was because it's the video too. Yeah, but it was
Saturday Night Live.
I mean, that was just showing off. That was
she.
Yeah, but it's not showing off when it's you're basically reminding someone of how great you are.
Yeah, it's nice when a singer really can sing. I think that's pretty special.
I went to one of those live Aid concerts once, and nobody sounded like they did on the album except for Sarah McLachlan, and she sounded dead perfect like the CD, and it was amazing.
I love hearing somebody who can really sing.
Well, like the best part of that quote documentary unquote that Beyonce had on HBO, the one that was like produced by Beyonce.
Yeah.
So everything in there is.
When I was a little girl, I always wanted to be a singer.
But of course, like it's no mistake that they decided you happen to catch me just like singing a cappella in the back of my limo to a new demo track, and which would seem like embarrassing and like self-aggrandizing, if not for the fact that you're like, holy mother of God, can she sing?
Got a voice.
And the only rat hole I have to say,
is this Adele? Oh, good. Let's get our show pulled down. Where'd you find this?
The magic of the internet. I don't know. Somebody on Reddit ripped the audio, basically.
Oh, smart.
So
you do hear the bass in there.
But
you
could have heard that.
You could high pass filter that, and you'd have isolated vocal. You could remix the.
You're saying it's not part of a fuller mix. It's coming through her mic.
I think it's coming through her mic. I could be wrong, but it's
Oh, this is going to get remixed
and I gotta say
to death.
Yeah, exactly.
This is going to get DJ remixed like crazy.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm sure it's by this Saturday. It'll be in every.
Oh yeah, there's going to be tons of white labels out there.
Dance hall, they'll be cutting it in.
Yep.
By the way, we're playing this for purposes of commentary. It's fair use.
It's news analysis.
It's news analysis.
We're talking over it, so it's.
But wow, she is a really good singer.
She could sing.
Oh man.
Well, I love her. I wish she'd stop singing such depressing songs about breaking up. She should go the Justin Bieber route. His whole new album is. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm a loser. Oh.
Thank you for supporting Canada with BlackBerry and Bieber.
That's a show title. I'm writing it down. It's BlackBerry and Bieber, baby.
Get 1 million views.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's good SEO, isn't it?
Got to get free in there somewhere.
Yeah,
it's really hard to sing course, she's not singing a cappella.
You
She's
see,
hearing
no,
the music.
she's singing.
I will say the PR that she's done for this album already is between the fact that they've had 500 million downloads or close
Yeah.
to it. For the song that did you see when she impersonated herself?
I love that one, Graham Norton's show.
Yeah, and then
I actually started crying when she puts on a fake nose and a fake chin and a fat suit and I didn't realize she had such a Cockney accent.
I know.
And changes it to talk like this. She says, I'm a nanny. I talk softly to the children.
Lady Doubtfire.
so they can make sense of the world.
They're making sense of the world.
I got to have the fake chin because I got the chin bummed. I recognize
Yeah,
it.
she was like that. She said, I'm very harsh, but I'm going to talk like Jennifer.
I always
And
thought
then-
it was going to be Michael Caine.
And then I know, she sounds like Michael Caine. And then she goes, I don't know, some sort of staged audition for Adele sound-alikes. And they're all the fake Adeles are sitting there, and she's Jennifer the nanny. And I'm getting a little sick. I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. And then, of course, they all sing. And they're all right. They're all right. And then she gets up there, and there's nobody sounds like Adele.
Yeah.
And she starts singing. I'm actually start crying. And the people are going, oh. Because there's no way
there's no way,
there's no
exactly.
way
It's
you could
like-
fake that. It was pretty cool.
Well, then she did an interview on XM. I was driving. I rarely listen to XM, and I was just like, man, whoever her PR person is like knocking every single.
You want to
team.
talk marketing onslaught? How long is it before Star Wars comes out?
Yeah,
You want to talk marketing onslaught?
50 million in sales already.
My God!
When they're able to make it sound as though there's a special like ceremonial event for everybody to show up at Target at 12 a.m. to buy new crappy toys. That's
Wait. There's a new Star Wars coming out?
No, you could turn your Google account to the dark side. You can.
Have you done? It's from a time long ago.
You can. I'm
you seen
seeing people. Denise Howell did it. Take her Facebook image, and she decides whether she's Rebel Alliance or whether she's who's the other guys? The Imperial Forces. It's just this is a month out. It's going to be crazy.
Have you seen the Google thing where you do? You
have joined the dark side. Whose side do you want to be on?
If you do a Google search for a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Oh, this is a good one. Yeah, so let's go to google.com. This is
the
a
Thanksgiving edition.
So you type
You
a long
type in, a long
time ago
in a galaxy far.
Fortunately,
far away. Yeah.
I don't have to type the
Exactly.
whole thing.
Yeah.
And then look what happens. You get Google News in the style of the opening
You can click on
text. Can you click on it?
Yeah, they're
It's still live?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Turn on the sound, Jason. I'm gonna
Got
turn
my
on the
sound up.
By the way, this is also protected by fair use for commentary purposes.
I'll be
They
surprised
actually
if this
got-
episode stays up on YouTube.
They
today.
got John Williams. That's the funniest thing.
All that alphabet money.
And these are actual search results.
Yeah, those are search results that are linked away.
See, this is one of the reasons why I love Google. They'll pay somebody to screw around like that.
Well,
When was the last time you hit like Command Option and clicked on an About box in an Apple app and had something awesome happen?
I wouldn't be surprised though if Disney hadn't given them just a little bit of money to do this.
I don't.
You don't think
I'd be
that's a
surprised.
marketing thing?
I'd be surprised.
Well, they had
I don't think they
a
need to.
license stuff, so I don't know if it was
I think
marketing.
there was a
stuff.
phone call.
Well, I think they definitely licensed stuff. but I
Larry
think that-
said, "Hey, yo, Mr. Eisner, I got an idea. I got a proposition. I got a deal for you.
Don't tell Lorene, but I want to do this.
Don't tell Lorene this. She's very, very tense. But I would like to make our search results scroll. It'll be 1977 all over again."
Well, and if you look at this, Disney paid, and someone just posted in the forum, Disney paid $4 billion for Lucasfilm, which they will probably make back 2 years.
Yeah. Well, take a couple movies. I mean, I'm sure they're spending some money to market this thing. It's everywhere.
We're going to get a movie every year now.
Every year?
So we get a tent pole.
So who's making the next one? Is JJ going to make another
No,
one?
there's another director.
Is there one going on right now?
I
So
believe
there's a sequel, and then there's an anthology, then a sequel, then
Is
an
this the
anthology.
Mark Hamill Full Employment Act? Is
So
that what
next
this
year?
is?
No, next year is is it?
The Rebels. Well, so not the
But it's not part of the.
The
it's
X-
not part of the
I'm
series.
sick of it already. And I mean,
I'm
it's
not.
like...
I
this
could.
is-
Ryan Nielsen is doing the next sequel.
There's certain
right?
movies that I could watch every single.
Well, you're a fan, and not
You
only
can
that,
watch
you
Star Wars.
worked on it. Okay, you worked on episode 1.
Well, there's that.
So you're like an insider. But you could do a great Jar Jar.
You're like a co-conspirator, given that it was episode 1.
You've seen, it's actually quite
Rogue
credible.
Squadron, I think, is
You've
next,
seen the
right?
people who are saying, actually, Jar Jar was like a Jedi Master. Have you seen this?
I've heard about that.
There's this whole conspiracy theory, and they think he's going to be back because if you look back at it, Jar Jar had all these moves. You know, he looked like he was the drunken master.
Right.
He looked
Jackie
like
Chan.
Yeah. He looked like he was, and instead he was, he won that battle for him.
He did win the battle for them. I never heard any of that
Master.
conversation. So, but I could have been left out of it. I was
Not Ryan Nielsen. Ryan
part,
something.
but
They weren't talking about that in the halls of Lucas when you were there.
Ryan
it
Johnson.
was not part of the conversation that I was in anyway. So
Who are you talking about, Brian?
Ryan Johnson. I forget the name of the guy who's doing the movie after JJ. So there is the gentleman who did the time travel movie with Bruce Willis recently. He's doing the next one, Ryan something. And then the third one is I forget the names now, but it's a different director for each of the sequels.
The director of the recent Fantastic Four movie was supposed to be directing one of.
Oh no, they passed on him after the Fantastic Four thing, and they got somebody else.
No, it was no, exactly. I'm saying he was supposed to do that, and then suspiciously, like well before the Fantastic Four movie was released, he dropped out to pursue other interests.
I should have known better to bring this up.
as far as I'm concerned, if you had a Star Wars, a Jason Bourne series, and a Bond movie every year, I'd be
you wouldn't have to go to the movies.
That's
ever.
the only thing I'm worried about. Star Wars movies used to be like epic cultural events. It is such a special thing to have a brand new Star Wars movie. I don't know if it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. If it turns out to be, I don't want it to be turn out like a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie where there is not there. This is just the movie they released this year. It could be really, really crappy because they know that the entire future of everything is not hinging on this. They're going to collect X $100 million if they make sure that it plays well in China. So I don't want one where there's a whole show in which why haven't we heard the backstory of the chessboard in the Millennium Falcon? Who manufactured that? How is that being made?
There's a documentary there somewhere. So if you want to read the full story about Jar Jar Binks, the full conspiracy theory, it's from Sasha Matuzak, writing for Fightland.vice.com. Jar Jar Binks is actually a Sith Lord and drunken fist master. And Sasha actually came from a Reddit thread that Lumpawaru posted, and it's spreading like wildfire through Star Wars fandom. And they even have animated GIFs showing him doing Drunken Master. So here's the Drunken Fist Master. They're showing exactly the same moves. It actually is pretty compelling when you watch the whole thing. He's doing Drunken Fist Master moves. I think he's not a Swamp Thing. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, so after this movie, we get Rogue One, then we get the Ryan Johnson Episode 8, and then we get the Han Solo movie, and then we get Episode 9.
Ryan Johnson's not the guy who directed Jurassic World.
Looper.
Looper was good.
The guy who did Jurassic World, I think, is doing the ninth movie.
Jurassic World was just horrific. I got all
so
excited.
Much money.
Well, it's kind of like, okay, they already ate everybody once. I mean, let's just bring everybody back. I mean, it's like, just kind of like the entire premise. I mean, you just kind of like, what were you guys thinking?
There was a potential spoiler for the next Jurassic movie that was amazing. They said that what happens when the dinosaur technology becomes open source.
Oh, I like that.
Just brilliant.
What was the name of the dinosaur in Jurassic World?
I don't know.
It was it had
Unobtainium.
It
was
a
up
name.
there with that. It was
the only reason Imperious Rex or
yeah. Because the only reason I know it is because it was a Jeopardy answer of all things.
Ignominious Rex.
Yeah, it was something Rex. Yeah. I'm sure the chat room will know. All right, let's take a break. We're going to come back and actually talk more stuff. Indominus Rex. Thank you. Glenn knew that. Of course you would know that, Glenn. Indominus Rex.
Ignominious Rex.
Our show today brought to you by my sheets. I love it when I put out fresh sheets on Tuesday. Did you know that? You probably didn't know that. It's probably TMI. Tuesday's fresh sheet day at the Laporte household, and I put out those nice Boll and Branch. Oh, I love those Boll and Branch sheets. The most comfortable sheets on the planet. You know, a lot of times you'll hear people talk about thread count. In fact, when I talk about Boll and Branch, I tell people about it. They say, well, what's the thread count? No, that's just marketing hoo-ha. It ain't about thread count. It's about the quality of the cotton. And Boll and Branch starts with the best cotton ever. Now we've talked before about mattresses, and I have a good mattress, but you don't sleep on a mattress, Barrett. You got to have some nice sheets. Next it'll be jammies, but right now we're talking about the sheets. Boll & Branch reinvented bedding with the sole purpose of making your nights more comfortable than ever. Softest cotton you've ever, and by the way, organic fair trade cotton. And they donate a portion of every sale to charity. And it's super affordable. For a couple $100, you could treat yourself to the same luxurious, incredibly comfortable bedding that U.S. presidents and countless celebrities swear by. And we got a great deal for you. By the way, this is a good gift, too, because they come in a beautiful box. These ribbons on it. That's the box. And it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. So when you get your bedding for Boll & Branch, you're going to see this, and you're going to say, wow, I should really get this. Be a great wedding gift, baby gift. Give the gift of great sleep this holiday season. BollandBranch.com. If you use our offer code MacBreak, you get 20% off your entire order. That could be sheets, towels, blankets, duvet covers. They sell it all. 20% off. This is our Black Friday special. All you have to do is go to BOLL, like cotton boll, like boll weevil, BOLL, and branch, just like branch.com. And our offer code is MacBreak, 20% off, plus free shipping. And of course, you have 30 days to return, 30 risk-free nights. Okay. I know I shouldn't probably mention this, but so Tuesday, new fresh sheets day. I take them out of the cupboard. They're so soft. I did this morning. That's why I'm late. I was rolling around in my Boll & Branch. Oh, okay. And they smell so good. They're freshly laundered, hung out on the line. Oh, I love them. BollandBranch.com. Use the offer code MacBreak for 20% off.
Is that anything we buy or just the sheets?
Everything.
I need some new towels.
The whole, yeah. Oh, great towels. Yeah. See, and you can feel good because it's organic, fair trade cotton. Mm-hmm. So it's not. I mean, this is good stuff.
I will say it's so as much as we talk about like spending $1,000 on this tablet and $800 on this hard drive. One of the things that really improved my life is when I took the mishmash of like towels that I had acquired over the previous 15 years. Some of them like cheap ones at Target.
No poly towels.
Every month I decided I'm gonna buy like one $30 towel and one $10 hand towel. After replacing them all, it's like toweling off is now a joy. I no longer walk around the house wet after a shower because it's just too rough to dry myself. It's like these little things that you interact with.
You don't sleep on your tablet.
Day.
Let's be honest. This counts.
Exactly. It took me a while to realize that investing in good sheets, investing in good towels, these are things I interact with on a daily basis, and it will make me happy to,
That's when you know you're a grown-up. When you actually
get good towels.
Your plates and your sheets and your towels match. The plates is the hardest one. That's the last one to go. So Apple Pencil, iFixit did an Apple Pencil teardown. And, Mike Hurley, one of the things Mike Hurley said is the Apple Pencil surprisingly heavy. He says, as with a pen, the weighting and the weight of it are very important. You don't actually want to you don't want it to be too light.
Well, I thought it was interesting to find out about the anti-roll or the way it doesn't roll.
Yeah.
Wibble wobble.
It's got a anti-wibble wobble. It's a Weeble.
It's a Weeble?
It wobbles.
But it doesn't
And
fall
a tiny little motherboard. That's the awesome thing.
That's the motherboard.
It's folded. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had to fold it in half because, look at it.
Yeah.
So iFixit says it's the smallest logic board it's ever seen in years of tearing apart technology. It's 1 gram. They should have put a quarter next to it in the picture because you can't really tell, but it's very small. Well, you know how thin the pencil is. If you fold this in half, it fits inside. There's an even tinier sensor board in the nib, and movement between the two parts is apparently the pressure sensor. It isn't. Okay, so iFixit gave it a 1 out of 10 for repairability, and when you look at what happened when they took it apart, you can see
my graphite pencil, their repairability is not great.
They ain't putting that back together.
Sometimes they're like one of these. The spiders are not insects. People, I don't think people are repairing these. I think it's okay that there aren't like Phillips screws holding it together and like socketed Socketed ICs.
Yeah, let's go to the iFixit page. I'm glad these guys do this stuff.
It's great. It's great to see how these things are put together and what's actually involved in this.
Yeah,
though.
and here's the comparison. The top is the Apple Pencil. If you're looking on the video, you can see the Apple Pencil on top, and then this is the Surface Pencil from Microsoft. Yeah. So it's a little bit bigger.
What's that weird? There's like these two weird things on the right side of the Microsoft one.
That's a clip for your pocket.
Wait,
and that's an eraser
a clip for your pocket. Holy cats!
Wouldn't that be nice?
Are there other pictures there? Oh my god!
Yeah, you got to imagine that because the back comes off. That you'll. I wonder if they'll have a third-party market for backs. You'll unplug one magnetic back and just plug other magnetic backs onto it, like a giant Homer Simpson head eraser. You could just stick on the back.
I have to say that Microsoft, and this is not their first time to the stylus rodeo,
right?
Did do a lot of things right with the Surface Book and the Surface Pencil. And having a clip is good. Having it magnetic so it sticks right to the side is fantastic, and it holds pretty well. And having an eraser, man.
So I used the Wacom for years, and I never used the eraser. I used the little button that does undo, because that just felt really convenient. Right. Where your finger is, you don't have to turn it around, and turning it around was slow. But I've been an artist for years, and I went and I took out all my pencils, and not a single pencil do I have with an eraser on it. I think like people think there are erasers on pencils because of school, but most art pencils don't have erasers. You have like the gummy eraser or the Stadler eraser or the cheese eraser.
All the professional artists I've been talking to, like I think we both have friends at Pixar. When one of them was telling me how, like at Pixar, like they all use Wacoms and they almost always use the pencils.
Use the
erasers on those.
Yeah, Wave says they use the erasers all the time. I just never got in the habit.
Yeah. This is
would have been nice. I won't necessarily give them demerits for not having an eraser, but I won't think that was a positive thing. It's not if they ever did like a video saying we realized that by eliminating the eraser, we made it more simple.
What I found, though, is because of how I draw, like I usually have a pencil in one hand and an eraser in the other hand, is I just pull the pencil off and I double tap Procreate to erase, or I do the swipe gesture in Adobe to erase. And I don't miss having the eraser, but I do miss the undo. And on a computer, undo feels kind of natural to me. Yeah. So I don't know if there's some sort of thing that they can do to evolve. I'm not sure an eraser is the right answer, but there feels like auxiliary controls are possible.
Yeah, I actually think a pocket clip isn't a bad idea either. Frankly,
it's useful not only for your pocket, but anything that you're holding it in. You just need something to.
Can you take like the removable pocket clip off of a pen and slide it on there?
I don't know if it's the right
I'm
size.
wondering if you could take the back off of this because it's magnetic, and people will make third-party magnetic backs with all sorts of different things on them.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, but it'd have to have like an extendable barrel that goes over the casing, because remember you've got that lightning port. Lightning connector, and I don't think you want to put it.
That's right. That's how you charge the thing. Yeah.
Will it violate my Apple Care if I put a third-party clip from a 1954 stationery store?
Right.
I'm sure I've got like a cigar box full of old like pencils and pens. I'm sure I've got one of those like metal like clip-on.
Right. To be clear, people are saying Battle Cam in the chat room is saying, well, you can't have an eraser there. That's the rechargeable cap.
Right, exactly.
But to be fair, the Surface eraser is not an actual rubber eraser.
No, it's not.
Well, it's just a switch, right?
Okay.
It's just a different magnetic resonance, right? It must have been an interesting debate. You don't need a recharging port on the Microsoft pen because, of course, it takes an actual replaceable battery that they say lasts like so long that it's not even an issue that you have to replace it. Unless, of course, you run out of battery at a time where you're not near a drugstore that has a quadruple A battery section.
Speaking of running out of things to talk about, Cult of Mac decided to see how hard it was to snap the Apple Pencil while it's in the charger. And apparently it's hard. We're all just looking for another angle on
the
this
land
story.
of Willard Blends.
Can you use it as a diving board? That's what I want to know. Can you stick the pencil in there, jump off of it, and get some height?
Yeah, somebody did a video of what happens if you stick a pencil in an electric pencil sharpener.
Oh, that was really stupid, wasn't it? That just made me mad. That's $100 piece of link.
Not just a $100 one, but $100 thing that no one can get.
Right. Yeah, even worse, right? When it's an insured supply.
It's their pencil. They can do what they want with it, and if they want to make thousands of dollars in affiliate,
well, presumably they're going to make their money back. Speaking of magnets, you got this, don't you, Rene? The magnetic. There are a lot of Apple Watch chargers now out there.
There are.
This is the magnetic charging dock, and this is from Apple.
Yep, it's a spitting image of their new headquarters.
But don't get it if you have the Milanese loop, because you can't get it around that, right?
You can. You just pop it up, and if you scroll down, there's a picture of the Milanese loop on there. If you scroll down a little further.
So it's the same disc that you get when you get your watch.
Yeah, but it's on a hinge, so you can pop it up. And
that actually,
nice.
You know what? That's actually a good way of doing it, because then you have the night mode and everything.
Yeah, I think if you scroll down, you'll see that too. I tried to take as many pictures as I could with all the different bands.
Yeah. How much is Apple? Yeah, there you go. There's the.
So there's two ways to look at this. First, it's ludicrously expensive. It's $79 for a white disc. But when you actually buy it, it is a heavy white disc with stainless steel insets. It's got some weird soft touch fabric that I kind of wonder if the pencil would feel good made out of it, and then suede at the bottom. And it's fairly heavy, so it stays put.
It needs to be, yeah.
Knock it over. Yeah. So it's Neil Seibert, who's a former sell-side analyst who now covers Apple from a financial standpoint, was saying like this is sort of the Apple affordable luxury thing where people are buying it like, oh, I might as well just get a charging stand that goes with it. And it is expensive, but it's not like Rolex sort of luxury expensive.
When you're paying $79 for a dongle so you can use your MacBook Type-C connector with a USB port, $79 for a charging stand.
There's that.
Doesn't seem like that much.
No, and the hinge is like this typical Apple thing where it feels like a MacBook hinge where you put it at any angle and just
of course,
stays
it's perfect,
there.
Yeah.
And to put the watch on, it doesn't even move. And it's like, so easy to move, but it stays exactly where you put it.
3,000 prototypes of this.
You kind of feel like, Apple, like price is not really the thing that
issue.
Apple is thinking about when they're making these things. They're like, you get Johnny Ive in there going, how would I, make it
certainly
exactly the way I want it.
I would be shocked if Johnny Ive at any point says, well, can we make it for less than $79? I don't think that.
Did you read that blog post? There's a blog post from a former Wi-Fi engineer at Apple who was talking about the use LTE feature to make up for poor Wi-Fi, and he's like, it's being designed by people who have unlimited free cellular data for life. So their concern is not your data bill. Their concern is how good is your connection quality.
Right. Experience trumps everything else, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's great that there's a company in the world that does that, cares about that. I mean, there's other companies like the B&O, right? The design, the design. Dieter Ram's kind of notion of design trumps. So that's fine. There needs to be a company like that. It's a little weird to see it in technology where design has historically been taking a back seat to functionality, but.
As I'm fond of saying, Apple knows. Apple has an MFI program that allows third parties to make what are probably going to be much more affordable and cheap, much more convenient stuff. They get to make the stuff that they know that no one else can make. And make it look like from the same design language into the same sort of high-end specs they'd like to do. So they're not cheating anybody out of
I have that ludicrous Hermes band on in those pictures, and you can get those for $39 out of China. They don't feel the same, but they look the same.
Oh, you mean that's not really the Hermes?
No, that is the one I have. There's really the Hermes, but that's almost foolish when you figure that you can get, like, Pat and Quill has some awesome ones for I think $100, and Serenity got a bunch of knockoffs from China for like $30. So
yeah.
You can find something in your price range.
Yeah.
eBay is a good even if you're contemplating buying the real thing from Apple, at least buy the cheap $24 Milanese loop and wear that for a couple of months before you pop $150 for the logo.
You buy the real one, you put that in the safe, and then you wear the
yeah.
I really wanted the stainless steel black one or whatever, but once I tried like a cheaper one, which I'm sure is cheaper than it, but then I was like, oh, this isn't going to be what I want pretty quickly.
I like the stainless steel black one because every time I think I've scratched it, it's actually a piece of concrete or metal that I've taken off something else, and I just wipe it off. DLC is just such a great material. I want everything made out of DLC now.
How hard is it for you to write a JavaScript that validates phone numbers and allows dashes?
There's that.
Not every time, Leo. I was so angry every time that happens. It's so unfriendly.
This is Apple. I'm trying to buy one of these docks, this thing. And it says, oh, I'm sorry, 769-8948 is not a phone number. Yes, it is!
Just pull out any non-numeric characters, make everything uppercase, and just don't make me do the work.
How hard is that? You don't even have to write it. You just can get it from a library somewhere.
For security purposes, we require your phone number to have at least one non-numeric digit.
It's worse in Canada, you have the postal codes that are alphanumeric. Right. You never know. Is there a space? Is there a dash? They want a capital, lowercase, and you have to try every one of them until it accepts it.
Oh, Lord. Oh, so it's doing it again. It doesn't like that phone number with the dash in it. Okay, kids, just a tip. In future, Oh, and that, for some reason, it thinks the credit card number's wrong. But if I typed it in, it would think it was right. All right, just for that, I'm not buying it.
Take that.
Watch that. No, still doesn't like it. Okay, I didn't want it after all. By the way, that is a problem, Apple. If you have people who get frustrated at your shopping cart and go, oh, screw it, that's $79 for a $4 item. You could have made some money.
Why did you have to put it in again? Because usually when I order stuff,
I know.
I usually
Remembers all of it.
I have to admit, I've gotten really.
I think Apple sees me coming. They ask for my password at the drop of a hat now on everything, every time. It's now expiring passwords all the time on me, like my phone. I just gave you my password. I'm sorry.
I have to admit, I am lost in the .Mac account or whatever the iCloud thing between devices, where one device has to check another device, and it's just
it goes back
and forth, and it's sending text messages to something that I think I'm like.
Let's talk about something we can actually fix: the App Store on iOS.
We can fix that?
No.
Okay.
Was it Lauren Good? Somebody wrote a good article on The Verge about this issue, which is we've talked about before, and I know you guys know developers who face this problem. She quoted two developers who did Sketch, which is a $99 Mac app, 3D design Mac app. They said, we're never going to do an iPad Pro version because the store doesn't let us do demos. Charging $99 for an app on the App Store is tough enough, but people can't try before they buy. They're not going to do it. And what about the upgrade issue? There's no way to charge people for an upgrade. You either upgrade them for free or make a whole new version of the program. That they have to buy.
OmniGraffle is like OmniGraffle 2.
Is this a real problem?
It is and it isn't. It is a real problem in that for people who come from a traditional Mac background, they expect things to be like demos and like upgrades. But they have a way bigger problem than I think than anyone is really documenting. And that is, no one's ever seen a market like this before. There's 1.5 million apps in the store. That was never the case on the Mac. It probably wasn't the case on Windows, where they were that easily available to that many people. And people say, oh, they don't keep up the value of the apps. Apps race to the bottom. But when you have venture capitalists involved, they don't have to charge for the apps. They're not making their money off the app up front. So you're going to have competitors who charge nothing for the app. You're going to have an incredible amount of competition. And yes, upgrades would be nice. And yes, demos would be nice if you're dealing with people who are traditionally used to software. But we have a whole generation of people who are just used to everything being free, and they don't put any value in software.
That is a problem.
And Apple could pull all sorts of levers, and developers really want them to. But at this point, I don't know if that's going to help. And we face this as content creators too. And we saw the music industry talking about this streaming. There is a massive disconnect between value propositions. And when you get to 1.5 million apps, even if your app is terrific, people may not care. And that's a really hard thing for developers to hear, that I put all this time and effort and I made this, what I consider to be this really great app, and nobody's buying it. And I could blame lack of trials and I could blame lack of upgrades. But in the end, there's just so much noise out there. And it's really hard. It's become like the movie or music industry, where you have to get a breakout hit. You have to do the kind of marketing that Adele's people are doing. And then you have to put all the wood behind that arrow. Yeah, and I don't think it's a simple fix.
And I think there's a couple. Go ahead. Andy.
Apple is putting some bricks in the developer's backpack that Apple does not have to put in there. One is lack of demos. The other is lack of paid upgrades. Another is lack of access to information about customers, even voluntarily. There are just so many roadblocks that are making the App Store a non-ideal proposition for developers. And we can name a bunch of developers who have decided to, on the Mac app, at least on the Mac app side, who've decided that it's just not worth it for us. We have a good enough relationship directly with our customers that the extra hassles that Apple inflicts upon us to be part of the App Store just isn't paying off for us. Users aren't going to be trained to start to pay money for apps until we start to see a little more variety here. I think that I think that your point is well taken, that it's hard to convince people who have never used an iPhone without expecting to spend more than $2.99 on an app to suddenly teach them that, look, this is valuable software that's not going to be made and it's not going to be upgraded unless you start paying actual, like, real make-a-living sort of money off of it. But we're not going to even start the process unless we take the handcuffs off developers and let them do what they want to do. Well, I think all I'll say is that the Procreate app for iPad It's an amazing app, and it shocks me that it costs, I think, $5.99.
Yeah, what a deal.
And I really just wish, I know that I'm an outlier. I know that you can't really build a business on people like me, but I really wish there were, like we were seeing on so many other apps, a button that I can push to simply say, look, just let me give you more money than this, because
like
now that
Omni.
I've been using it for a week, excuse me?
Like Omni, they charge real money for their apps. I
They
wish more
charge
people
real
would
money
do
for an
that.
app. Other developers will let you do like a sort of a Patreon sort of thing where touch this button and basically pledge a certain amount of money per month that we will automatically get out of you for continuing to use the app. I wish I have faith in humanity, but I'm not sure that people are going to be able to come through to make that a windfall. But I'd like more developers to try to do that. I would like to be able to. I would like to give more money to developers who make the apps that I rely on, because I want them to make a good living, and also selfishly, I want them to continue to support and upgrade this app.
Well, and I think that a lot of the app developers that are making money, I think, are thinking about things in two ways. One is obviously in-app purchases, and the second is some kind of subscription. I mean, a lot of us in my company got hooked on Slack because it was free, and they started downloading it. And now I'm paying. I don't know how much I pay per month for that.
Yeah, but you're hooked.
But I mean, but my company runs 5,000 to 10,000 messages a week, through it. So it's
worth it.
and so, but it built up from a free thing that then I had to pay to keep doing whatever they wanted to do. And so I think that model has been successful. I think also in-app purchases I think that there is and I think a lot of developers aren't doing this. If you think you're going to build something big, and I think that Apple could do this, for instance, with Final Cut, or anybody else who's building a larger thing, is think of your app as a platform. So if you're not building a small app and you're building a big app, think of as a platform and make sure that you have a way for people to build things into it that are third party, that Apple might get a bit, you might get a bit. But if you've got 1 million users, there's a lot of other people that might want to, or even if you're building extra tools, I don't think you necessarily have to give the entire. I think you have to give something that's useful enough for free, or for a little, and then that people can use every day and get used to it. And then there's being able to add things on, because I'm quite happy paying for extra brushes, or whatever. Once I'm in an app and think that it's useful. So because I know I got some art app for the iPad Pro. It was like $1.99, and then all the brushes were $6 or something like that.
Paper used to be like that, and they switched to their hardware supported model. Now Apple makes their own pencil. I mean, it is really tough. And there's all sorts of arguments pro and con. Like some people were saying time trials would be great. I could download this app and see if I really like it. But then someone's like, well, let's say you download this app and you put a bunch of data in it, and then your time expires. How do we get that data out for you? And none of the stuff is simple. And I don't think Apple's being mean about this stuff. I think that they have a big philosophical divide about this, the way they do about many things, where some people believe that in order for there to be a future, especially on the Mac App Store, you have to provide these things. Now other people are like, no, that makes it not simple. We want people to download an app and just use it. I don't have to worry about, is my data going to time out? Am I going to have to pay for an upgrade? What happens if I don't want the upgrade? And I think sometimes when your desire to be simple, and it's like those apps that don't have preferences because they want to be simple, and then all the workarounds they put in place not to have preferences becomes way more complicated. I think that's what we're seeing with the App Store now, is in this attempt to have a simple model, you have people making second versions of the app. And then what happens if Ken Case from Omni Group was trying to figure out a name for the old version of Omni Group for people who didn't want to upgrade to the new version. And Tapbots is having to do all this stuff to retrofit an old version of Tweetbot. People didn't want to have to buy the new version. And I don't know what the solution is. Everyone says I want this or that, and none of that looks like it's going to be workable either. But there's obviously a problem because people aren't getting value for software, and if they don't, they're going to stop making it, and then we all lose out.
Yeah, that's the money quote that frightens me. That the idea that there's software that would just go gangbusters on the iPad Pro, but the people who make this stuff can't justify the economics of investing in it as a platform if they don't think they're going to be able to get their money back.
So you get Adobe and Microsoft who make their money off subscriptions making the apps.
Right.
I mean, it's not what I want. I want indie apps.
Well, and I think that, I don't know, it's also a very big market. There are people and indie developers that are making a lot of money on this. I mean, the idea that everyone should make money on every app that they do, I think is not realistic either. I mean, I think that there is a part of developing a good app, developing a marketing campaign, developing a process of how, and understanding in the reality that we're in, how am I going to do it? I mean, we're in the process of developing apps right now, and we haven't released a bunch of them, but this is a conversation that we're having constantly, which is, how are we going to make money? Is it going to be subscription, in-app, purchases, or, some kind of platform? And those are, but you have to think about it. It's not. I don't think it's going to change. I think that you have to figure out how to make money, and some people are. I mean, I know people that are they're doing okay. You know, in this market with what I consider niche.
I guess the real
niche
issue
software.
though is if you're going to have a success with the iPad Pro, you're going to have to have a support in a particular category.
Yeah, you find a niche.
The high-end Pro apps. Well, but I'm just saying, well, maybe not, but it seems to me that the iPad Pro needs a certain kind of app that the other iPads don't.
Well, you make is a $150 in-app purchase, right? Like you make for free.
Is that the solution for trials? It feels like it's not.
It's hard. Like in iOS 7, a bunch of apps. Like I remember Tweetbot, they did a complete redesign for iOS 7, and people said we're not going to pay for this. And updating your user interface, which for them took months and months of really hard work to make it as good as they wanted it. People were like, oh, that's not a real update. I'm not going to pay for that. That's not a new feature. It's really hard to move your customers.
It might have been hard for them to do, but the question is that
does the customer
them it was worth it? Does the customer think it's worth it? And they obviously misread that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would still look like an iOS 6 app, though, and everyone would hate it, and they get bad reviews. And
well, then you look at, but that's an investment into the future sales, not into the current upgrading to your current. I mean, you look at. I mean, now Apple doesn't need to make money on it, but look at Final Cut and all the other things. I mean, Apple just keeps on running, upgrades as, and people if they're making money on it, which I think they probably are. What they're doing there is they're getting new sales. I mean, that's what they're after.
For 4 years of Overcast. I mean, I don't know if that'll work for everybody, but I did the patronage button 4 times on Overcast.
Did you? Aren't you a sweetheart?
Well, no, I mean, I want to support if they gave me the opportunity, I would do that for Tapbots. I would do that I do that for any of the indie devs whose apps I use. Yeah. People say like, it's again, Tweetbot came out with a new version. I don't want to buy it. It's $3. They're charging me $3 again just 2 years later. I would pay that. I use that app 8 hours a day every day. I would pay that on a daily basis.
And I definitely don't like free apps because I'm afraid I don't want to commit anything to a free app because I'm terrified that they're not going to be around or they're not going to update. I'm quite happy.
If it's Flappy Bird, who cares? But
right,
you're right.
Oh, no,
if
but
it's an app you're going to really use.
But if I look at it like a productivity app, I want them to pay, and I really am quite happy paying $5 or $10 because I don't want to or more. But
or $100.
Yeah, I pay.
Or an Alex.
I have OmniGraffle on my iPad, which I don't really like. I have to say. I mean, I use OmniGraffle every day on my computer. The OmniGraffle iPad version is not.
Yeah. No, I'm not at all ashamed to pay money for Omni Outliner because I use that every day. Absolutely. Not at all ashamed to pay $40 for Scrivener because I use that every day.
But the issue,
I've been using Mars Edit for the first time in 3 or 4 years.
Love Daniel.
And the developer is actually a friend of mine and offered me press comp. And I used it for about 2 weeks and then said, nope, here you go. I'm giving you $40. I don't want a free copy. Yep. You just got to think these things through.
But that's the point. If you can't try it, and it's $40, and you don't know if you're going to use it every day, that is a tough position to put
because I download a lot of apps that are like the light free version just to see if I like the interface.
And if it's it depends on the app. Right. Some apps you can put out a demo version, a free version, a freemium version that gives you enough of a sense of it that you're going to pay $100 for it. But I don't know if that's always the case.
$10 since the launch of pCalc has been $10. He's never lowered the price, but he has pCalc Lite for people who want to try it.
Right. A couple of Apple Pay stories. I'll just mention them. There's nothing really to say. Apple Pay is going to launch in China by February, according to some sources. And Square is rolling out touchless readers for Apple Pay, which is kind of cool.
I'm really getting to the point now where I'm starting to think about whether a store has Apple Pay because I really don't like giving my card out anymore. I don't like giving my card. I don't like typing it. Yeah. I don't like typing numbers in. I just want to tap it. I don't want to hand any information over.
Google's doing something Apple should probably do. It'd be an interesting thing to do. I think Google is probably taking whatever they make off of Android Pay and putting it back into charity. So when they're saying if you use Android Pay for this period of time, we'll donate to charity. And it's clear that what they're saying is we're not going to make any money for this month, but what we want to do is get people to try it, right?
Right.
And the hope is that if people try it, they'll get because the first one is the hardest one, right? It's the first hurdle.
Like figuring out what
I got to do this, and then once you use it, and maybe once I don't know, there's some magic number. Once you use it 3 times, you're going to use it all the time.
Right.
And Google's going to donate up to $1 million toward education for people who use Android Pay, and they're going to they're going to go through donorschoose.org. So I think this is a good idea. And it's clearly a jump start for Android Pay, right? It doesn't matter if they make money at it initially.
I was surprised how many people are angry that only American Express is accepted on Apple Pay in Canada and Australia, because American Express isn't. It is better than nothing. People are like, it seemed to offend people that it wasn't everywhere.
Well, blame your bank. Call your bank. Call TDI.
I'm standing there. I'm making signs. I'm putting sparkles on them. I'm walking back and forth in front of the banks.
I love you, Toronto Dominion, but
help us help you.
Help us help you. Let's take a break. When we come back, should I talk? Actually, we didn't mention, and I don't know how widespread it is, Apple's, the iPad Pros becoming unresponsive after charging. I mean, we all have iPad Pros. I haven't seen it. I have several. I haven't seen it.
Me neither.
Okay.
Doesn't mean it's not important to the people that's affected, but I don't know if it's a really widespread thing.
Apple has put out a support document saying, we're looking into the problem. Do a hard restart. That'll fix it, at least now. Force restart by pressing and holding both the sleep and wake. Did you know this will do this, everybody? Probably you did. There's several ways to reboot your iPad. One is, of course, to press and hold the on-off switch till it says slide to turn off. But if you press and hold both the sleep, wake, and home buttons for 10 seconds, it'll just go, and you'll see the white Apple logo. You've done a reset. Yep. Which I don't know how that's different from turning it off and on again.
It flashes all the RAM. It gets everything, like everything gets reset.
Zap.
Yeah. It's a clean slate, and everything will start over.
Yeah, but it doesn't erase your data.
No.
But it just cleans everything out. It flushes it out the chutes. And then there's the DFU, which nobody should ever have to do.
There's recovery mode, and there's there's a bunch of different stuff.
There's at least 4 different ways to restart this. But apparently the reset, we'll call it the hard reset, fixes
DFU, you've got to reinstall your iPad. You don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that.
No.
You don't want to do that. They say both 128 and 32 gig Wi-Fi and LTE iPad Pro models have all been affected. So
DFU's device firmware update, and it means what it says on the label.
You're just updating everything. Our show today brought to you by Texture. A great, if you're looking for something to put on your new iPad, I got it on my Mini. It would probably look great, though, on the iPad Pro. Texture is like Netflix for magazines. And I think this is great because for a couple of reasons. One, almost every magazine, I should say almost every month, there's an article I want to read in Vanity Fair, in Rolling Stone. And there's just certain magazines I just want to, but I don't want to subscribe. I don't want to buy it on the newsstand. That's really expensive. This is the best way to do it. Get the content you want from all of your favorite magazines and get it on your iPad or your iPhone. If you don't even know what you want to read, you don't have to waste time finding premium content. They have an editorial team that recommends stories for you based on the things you've shown an interest in. They also have curated collections that lets you delve deeper into articles from magazines like Fortune and Fast Company and Newsweek and Rolling Stone and Wired. I pretend I get it for Fortune and Fast Company and Rolling Stone and Wired. Actually, really, I'm getting it for People Magazine because I just got to know what the latest is. Who the sexiest man alive is. Congratulations, David Beckham. I got to know what Gwen and Blake are up to, those things. You know what happened to me? I realized I would go to the grocery store and then I'd be standing at the checkout line and I'd see these covers and I'd say, I don't know who any of those people are.
That's when you know you're getting old.
I literally do not know those names. So I decided I'm going to fix that. And then I got Texture. Go to texture.com/MacBreak. We've been talking about Texture for a long time. You might remember them from the name Next Issue. It's Texture. Next Issue is rebranded to Texture. But the same great magazines, the same great experience. You're going to see the same layout and pages as if you bought those magazines. But additional features, bonus features, videos, and the pricing is right. There's 2 plans, a basic plan for $10 a month, the premium plan for $15 a month. You can access on 5 different devices per account. There's no commitment. You can cancel anytime online, no phone call necessary. You won't want to cancel, though. You're going to love these magazines. It's everything. It's everything you want. Even, I like the cooking stuff. I like to get on my Boll and Branch sheets, on my Casper mattress.
Cuddle up to
recipes. to cooking. Well, I do because I like to look, this looks really good. I want to cook this.
Okay, I'm sold. You don't need to talk about it.
It's good, isn't it?
I'm going to go get it.
Texture.com/MacBreak. Texture.com. Try it. You can try it free for a month. You don't have to, take my word for it. Texture.com/MacBreak. 1 month free. I'm going to have to get that diabetic living now.
Is that a Popular Science?
Popular, of course they have Popular Science. Popular everything. I think they have Popular Mechanics, Popular Science, Popular Electronics, all the populars. There it is. Popular Science, Popular Photography, Popular Mechanics.
There you go.
You want Popular, they got Popular.
I'm done. It's good. Like, Popular Mechanics is good. Like, I don't want to think too hard, but I want to see some cool pictures of fighter planes.
Yeah, and I don't want to buy it because then I'm just going to be just clutter on my
Right. I don't like carrying them around anymore. My problem with
well,
paper
I've flown with you. That's what you do. You go in the airport and you buy 10 magazines.
Right, and then I leave them.
But this is what you do now.
Oh,
and by the way, they download so you can read them on the plane even if there's no Wi-Fi. Sound and Vision, that's a great magazine. I love
Sunset.
Drooling. Sunset, the California magazine.
I don't know. I've never read Sunset.
You haven't?
I've never read
See, the point is you probably would never buy it or subscribe to it, but I bet you, I almost could guarantee you there's an article in there that you would go, oh, wow.
Yeah, probably.
But one.
Yep,
and that's the problem.
Deep fat frying your turkey.
Texture.com/MacBreak. Need I say more? See, Gwen's Revenge Romance. I'm telling you, Bill Murray on the cover of Vanity Fair this month. See, I want to read that article, but I don't want to buy the whole magazine. Texture. I don't have to worry about it anymore. I got them all.
So now I bought sheets and magazines in one show.
You didn't get a Drobo? Oh, you already got a Drobo.
I have a bunch of those.
As long as I'm spending your money, they updated the firmware on the Sony A7.
That camera is so awesome.
R2 to now do uncompressed RAW. So finally, there's nothing wrong with this camera.
4 photos for.
Yeah, they're big photos. Let's say 80 megabytes. Hey, cards are cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
And I should mention, well, you know what? I'll do a pick in a little bit. Let's start with Andy Ihnatko. Your pick of the week.
My pick is Sling TV. I got it's been out for a few months now. Sling just set me up with like a comp account for a limited comp account, so I could finally try it out. I'm liking it a lot. Now, this is the service where you get cable channels without an actual cable subscription for $20 a month. You get a basic package that contains. I'll be very selfish here. It contains the only cable channels that I would really miss if I cut the cable. So you got your Food Network, you got your Food Network, you got your TNT, you got your TBS, you got your Lifetime. So there you go. I got my Project Runway, I got my Chopped, I got my Cutthroat Kitchen, and you also get the Disney Channel and a whole bunch of ESPNs and American Movie Classics and CNN and that sort of stuff too. For there you can get add-ons. So for $15 a month, you also get HBO. You can get sports packages, Spanish language packages, kids packages. Again, looking selfishly, for $5 a month, I can get a movie package that includes 3 Epix channels, which I don't really care about, plus Turner Classic Movies. And so now for $25 a month, you've got truly all the cable channels that I really care about. What I like about it a lot is that I also have a Sling box. I also have a Sling box upstairs connected to my cable box, so I can tune into live cable wherever I am. But this is a lot slicker. It's a lot faster. It's a lot more reliable. They have apps for Android. They have desktop apps for Mac. They have iOS apps. As a matter of fact, the other day I was doing some work on here at this desk on the iPad Pro, and on the screen in which I'm looking at the monitor for the show in front of me right now, I had the Mac desktop app watching the Food Network because they were doing a marathon or something I wanted to see. And beautiful HD, very, very stable. One of the most stable streaming apps that I've ever used. The difficulty is that for now it doesn't have an Apple TV app. I'm sure they haven't announced anything. I did ask them about it. They have nothing to announce at this time, but of course it would be silly to have an iOS app for iPad and iPhone and not have one for Apple TV. Unfortunately, the iOS apps don't support AirPlay, so for now there really is no way, if you have an Apple TV, to get all this content on that screen. But it's really quite interesting. It really does change the math a lot. Now, the other difficulty is that it really is like getting a cable subscription to, say, the Food Network, so that you can watch shows live, but it doesn't have a DVR. Not only that, but each of these channels, of course, they have their own Android apps and their own iOS apps. And so I watch Project Runway through the Lifetime app on my Apple TV, so I can see whatever the whole past season. Once I've verified that, hey, yes, I'm a subscriber to this cable lineup. You don't get access to those apps with a subscription to Sling, so it's not as though you'll be able to download these individual apps separately and get all the benefits of those things. But considering the price savings for a lot of people, and considering that maybe you don't watch TV the same way you did 10 years ago when you first signed up for cable, this might be a really, really good alternative. And the other bonus for a lot of people is that if you haven't established credit history yet, there is no credit check. All you need is a credit card, and they'll just bill it to you, and that's it. So I'm very, like I said, I'm very pleased with it. I thought that it was going to be sort of a also ran sort of service, but they've built it out with a lot of extra channels that I really, really like. They've got a good broad selection here, and it works great. So the question is whether when my demo period ends, if I if I actually sign up for this. I hope not, because I'm signed up for so many streaming services as it is. But it's good enough that it will actually provoke me to really sit down and do a full audit of how I watch TV, what I want, what I don't want, and what I'm spending on the 40,000 different Fox News channels and the 30 curling and Australian rules football channels that I never, ever, ever watch. And maybe I can save some money and get a service that I will actually like more.
Sling TV. I'm glad to get a review. I've, of course, known about it, and I'm just curious. So good. Thank you, Andrew. Rene, Ritchie, your pick of the week.
I have two quick picks. One is one of the questions I got asked the most when the iPad Pro came out. It's sort of like people rediscovered the side view multitasking in iOS 9 all of a sudden, because such a big screen, and people were kind of upset that they couldn't do one Safari window next to another or one mail window next to another. And the thing is, for right now, it only works with two separate apps. You open an app, you slide over another app, press the button, and it turns into split view multitasking, two apps side by side, but two different apps. So there's an app called Safari, which is a play on Safari, which is basically a Safari view controller. So what you do is you launch Safari, you slide over, you bring in Safari, and then you load stuff into that, and you have two Safari windows.
Two Safaris.
So if that's really what you want, if you want those two browsers, it doesn't do mail, doesn't do anything else that you might want to have side by side. But if you've just been upset you couldn't do your two Safari windows side by side, this will fill that gap for you.
So it's not a second Safari on there. It's just doing some mojo to get that.
Yeah, it's using the Safari View Controller, which is actually pretty good because the Safari View Controller has all your saved passwords. It has access to all. If you're logged in Safari, you'll be logged in Safari View Controller. So, and it doesn't have all the action capabilities that Safari does, but there's an action item that it gives you that you can use in other apps to send things to that window. So you can target it too, which is nice.
It's a clever little hack.
It's not, and on an iPad Pro, it's really nice because a lot of people really do want to research something while they're writing in their CMS, for example.
Right. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
So it's super useful. The other app is Sketch Party TV. So if you're with the family for Thanksgiving and you want to play a game, it's almost like one of those TV game shows, but it uses iOS devices, and now there's an Apple TV native version as well. Previously, you'd use AirPlay for this, but it's sort of, I forget the name, but there was game shows where you draw a picture and try and guess the picture, and it's sort of in that tradition. And obviously, like, they haven't updated the video yet, but now you just go to your Apple TV, to the Apple TV App Store, you download it directly, and it's a fun way to, if you have a family with a lot of iOS devices, or you have the new Apple TV, it's just a fun way to get everybody involved and not sit by yourselves on your own little screen in that very sad Apple Christmas commercial.
Who doesn't have a family full of iOS devices?
I wish there was more of this. Like there's that yoga app that lets you use your Apple Watch and shows your heart rate. And people do have multiple devices now.
Yeah,
in my family, everyone has at least an iPhone. Half of them have iPads. All of them have the new Apple TV now, and it's just being able to use them all together makes it, I think, more real world social.
I want to get this. That looks fun. Draw Party.
Yep,
really looks fun.
Sketch Party TV.
Sketch Party TV. Alex Lindsay. He's handing me his phone so I can demo something so exciting.
Oh, this is riveting.
It is The Time Remaining.
Oh, it started. Wait, hold on. It stopped.
What? How are you doing that?
So anyway, this is called Podium Pro. We went through a lot of trouble to find something that we could do easily.
This is for speakers.
So if you're speakers, or if you have an event, or you're doing a show or whatever, and your speakers want to count down.
Is there a wrap button?
Yeah, I think that there might be some messages.
Is there a
in here that
shut
you
up
can,
and get off the stage button? We need
test.
that.
I think this
This is a good idea. So you control the timer.
There's a little message
Test.
underneath it. So this will work with your.
Shut up, doofus.
Yeah. It's the jerk ball.
And so you need
Your
two
fly is
iOS.
down.
Your fly is down.
Yeah. So they jerk ball.
Jerk ball.
So anyway,
you have two iOS devices.
So anyway, yeah. So
required.
two iOS devices. They see each other. One broadcasts to the other. You can run many of them. So you can have so they can be a bunch of slaves that are all looking at a. It doesn't. We've tested it. We can't get it to work. Like it doesn't work over an IP, which is what we'd love to have. So we can put it in another country.
Right.
But in the same room or in a control room, it works really well. They're on the same network, and they're using Bluetooth, I think, to talk to each other, or at least to sync to each other.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway, but it's worked. We actually have been using it a lot, and it works great when you want to have, because a lot of times you want to start that countdown clock, and so if you're doing.
It would be nice to have an Apple Watch interface for this. That'd be kind of cool.
I don't know if it has one, but we use it a lot of times. What we use it for is iPad Minis turn out to be a great size that you can just kind of shove somewhere and have a countdown clock really quickly for them. So
to your forehead.
Yeah, so it's
So it's called Jerk Ball.
It's called Jerk Ball. Yeah, exactly. No, it's Podium Pro.
Podium. How much? Do you know?
I don't know.
Expensive, probably, because it's
I don't think
a
it was
Pro.
that expensive. I don't think it was.
I want Podium Amateur.
Yeah. Well,
Podium
they
Light.
they do have obviously a
What's neat about this platform is it makes all of these. And these are relatively simple things, but they makes them possible.
It's Podium Timer HD.
Podium Timer HD.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. And it costs what, $1? $2?
It's $1 for Podium Timer HD. It's also
the Pro version.
Podium
is $2.
Timer Pro is $199.
Yeah, $2.
$2
In-app purchases, $2.
Yeah, there you go.
Brushed metal included.
Nice. It's very stylish.
That's where it went.
Well, you got
There's some in-app
red
purchases
LED,
somewhere, but and I think I did pay them. I mean, it's $2 to start playing with it, and then when you wanted to do something, or the remote control feature, if you want to use it by yourself, it's $2. It's $5 if you want to control other things, and that was fine. So they got a bunch of bad reviews because they asked you for another a cappuccino to be able to remote control these, and that's just it's got bad reviews because of that, and it's a good app.
I'm going to pick something that cost an Alex, or used to cost an Alex. Ooh. The Mac Fun, Phun, Creative Kit 2016. The reason I'm mentioning this is it's on sale right now for $90 for all of them.
Ludicrously cheap.
Yeah, and I use Tonality Pro, which is their black and white plug-in, which I really like. But there's a lot of stuff in the Creative Kit. But that's not what I'm here to plug, because when you get to Mac Fun, you should click Aurora HDR. Trey Ratcliffe has released his own HDR software. We've all been using, I think Photomatics was kind of the choice. It was kind of ugly and clunky. And, of course, Trey did a good job with this. He's Trey. It starts at $40, although they have other versions. There's a Pro version that gives you 5 licenses. And then you can also get training. The Pro version is $99, training's $129. But I think $40. It's great software. And a little disclaimer: Trey sent me a license to say, he said, "Hey, I got the new softwares out." Now we've talked before about HDR, Alex, and I, like you, am not a big fan of tone mapping, but it can do a lot of other stuff, including denoising. There's structure. You can modify structure. So depending on what you're looking for, and they have some great presets that give you a chance to really play with different looks. You can go for if you really want this, painterly HDR, you can do that. Not my favorite thing, but I think you can also make the same image really just be beautiful.
And you can really bring out. You're basically compressing a very high. You're taking a high dynamic range that you couldn't normally get in your camera and compressing all of those together. And I think that there's compressing the brightnesses together, and so you can definitely get some. Especially when you use it subtly, you can get some really great effects.
And by the way, I'm just using architecture.
Amazing.
He's not going to do an ugly app. And the other thing it does that Photomatics does not do, it works with RAW when you buy the Pro version, and that's very important to me. I want it to work with RAW. Yeah. So look at all the different presets. There's basic, architecture, landscape, indoor, dramatic, and Trey Ratcliffe presets. He's got the baby in the corner preset that is just awesome. A little black truffle salt, or the endless hot shower preset. Trey's a creative fella. I think you're going to really like this. And for $39.99 which is probably what most people would want to get, pretty awesome. If you want to use RAW, you're going to pay $100 for it, which is still a very good deal. If
And you
do
can
any
upgrade
of this
from
stuff.
one to the other, I imagine.
Yeah. And do, while you're at MacFun, take a look at the other MacFun stuff. The fact that creative kit is under $100 now is pretty astounding. MacPhun. Do you like their plugins?
Yeah, they're great.
You're a pro. I'm just a
they're
I'm just
they're
a
great
slobby
apps.
amateur.
Great apps. And I have the Aurora HDR, and I paid for it.
You did.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know.
It's awesome.
I think Jeff Carlson has a book out on how to use it already.
Really?
Yeah, which was fast.
Trey said he's been working on this for a year, so I guess those in the know knew already that you can go to aurorahdr.com if you just want to learn about Aurora, but I think you should go to macfun.com and find out about all the stuff. The Creative Kit, I use Tonality Pro now as my kind of favorite black. I used to use Silver Effects for the Nick package, which I still
I
love.
haven't used Tonality as much. I still use the Silver Effects, but
Silver Effects is the king, but Tonality is, again, it's the nice interface. And, of course, Lightroom and Photoshop plugins and Aperture and all that stuff, too. So you get a lot of stuff. Intensify, Tonality, Snap Heal, Photo Studio. In a way, I have the Nick ones, I have the Alien Skin ones, I have the MacFun. I have way too many plugins. Now I just have to take some pictures, and I'll be ready to roll.
exactly.
I do like shooting HDRs, not for that big painterly effect, but just for the better dynamic range,
Yeah,
so I can
shooting
get
at night or shooting
see the
somewhere you
detail in the dark as well as the sun,
the sky and the buildings.
I like that, but you control it, so that's nice. Anything else anybody wants to say? You know what we didn't do that I was going to do was talk about Black Friday deals. We were looking on iOS today, and you can get an iPad for $100 off. I don't know. Normally, Apple really controls the channel, but I feel like this year, for the first time, Apple's offering some significantly deep discounts, or it looks like they will be. We'll find out on Friday. But some of the other merchandisers, like Best Buy, are really so shop around. Normally, it doesn't help to shop around for Apple stuff, but there seem to be some really big discounts out there.
Wirecutter has a really good guide.
Do that one, yes.
Not only are they steering you towards good deals, but also informed by their review. So it's not like they're going to show you the 87-inch TV that costs $38 at Best Buy. They're going to show you like the one that you actually want to buy, even if it costs a little bit more.
Actually, that's a great pick. The Wirecutter's best deals, and then follow the Wirecutter deals Twitter feed as they find more. But they've gone through like tens of thousands of Black Friday offers, more than 36,000 deals, and they picked 223. So this is a really great way to.
This is like the next generation of Consumer Reports.
I love Wirecutter. They've done a great job. They really have. And
Ryan Lamb, Jackie Chang, Dan Frakes, awesome people.
So for so many things, like where it's not so much where there's an objective truth to be found. I can't tell you the number of times where I've just said, I need a shaver. Okay, what does Wirecutter or the Sweet Home say? Great, that's what I'll buy.
Right.
Don't care, just buy it.
You know, if you're really serious about a category, you're going to do more research. But this is most people just want, tell me the one. Just tell me what to get.
Well, yeah,
I don't have time.
I bought that headlamp I was telling you about before the show. It was the first one of those I bought was, again, I need a headlamp for doing walking like after dark.
Yep.
I'm not passionate about headlamps the way that I'm passionate about software or computer hardware.
Right.
But I know that they will have thought about this a lot longer and harder than from different angles than I will have, and I'm confident with the Wirecutter's reputation of things I've bought from in the past that if I just buy this, it'll be fine.
Look at this. Here's a 10% off a MacBook Pro, 15-inch. You just so rarely see these sales. I feel like this is Amazon. I feel like Apple is, or B&H. I'm sorry, B&H is offering it for 10% off. I feel like Apple is this year for the first time maybe really doing some deep discounts and letting the channel do more than they. Oh, is this the one you got? The Sola 25? Oh, that's a floodlight.
No, it's the
you don't put that on your head.
Black Diamond, I think.
Okay. Yeah, this is awesome. Wirecutter.com.
It also makes me feel good. I lose my arrogance when I go to Wirecutter, because like I'll write I'll do like my own evaluation of keyboards or like fitness trackers and stuff like that, and then like sometime later I'll like check out Wirecutter. Oh look, we agree. All right.
I find we almost always agree that they really have done the homework, and they have the right. It's more than doing the homework or doing the testing. They have the right point of view.
Every review starts off with one paragraph saying, cut to the quick, here's the one we recommend.
Right.
And then the next are like 500 words of, here's who I am, here's why I have experience with this. Right. I've been a backpacker and through hiker for the past 20 years, and I did an 8-day hike in darkness with 8 of the finalists, and that's how I determined this one. It's like Consumer Reports if Consumer Reports had taste and they weren't just numbers.
It's not. I think Consumer Reports is the wrong analogy. It's more like the Whole Earth Catalog, where it was very kind of personal.
I like Consumer Reports because they are very, very strict about methodology.
Right.
But it means that they are like Commander Data. They don't understand that just because you have a line item on a clipboard that says time how long it takes you to delete a file using only the keyboard, that doesn't mean that the Mac is a terrible, hard-to-use operating system. You then filter this in through your own experience and give you and allow your own life experience to inform your opinions. Wirecutter will tell you, here's the methodology, here are the things that we think are important to find, here are the ones that have all the things that we think are important. And they're also willing to say, but if you don't have a lot of money, here's something to spend, here's something that's good but doesn't cost so much money, or if this one feature isn't important to you, then we would definitely go for this one instead. Like I said, I can't recommend them highly enough.
And as long as we're spending money, I might mention that the Sony RX1R2 came out today, and it's only $3,300 for a point and shoot, but it is the best point and shoot anyone's ever made.
Well, there's that.
Well, I don't know if that's actually true, but it is a full frame sensor and nice Zeiss optics, and people have been waiting for this. So it's I actually I ordered it last night on B&H, and I canceled it. Fortunately I canceled it.
You stepped away?
Yeah, I stepped away. That's a lot of money. And I don't really need it.
Since I didn't get that last one, see, now I can get that one.
You can get this, though. This is kind of like having an A7 R2 with just one lens, a 35mm f2. It's pretty nice and small and compact. Alex, I'm trying to.
I bought too many.
This is mean of me.
I know, it's horrible.
I'm really mean. That's a terrible thing to do. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Threw my wallet across the room.
Andy Ihnatko, Rene, Ritchie, Alex, Lindsay. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Those of you in the United States, you've already had yours, Rene.
Yes. We beta tested it for you. It turned out great.
Did it turn out great? Okay, good. Glad to know. Are you going to spatchcock?
Wait a minute, what?
I thought you'd be all up in the spatchcock.
I didn't know I could do that in public.
There's a new kind of turkey preparation.
Oh no! I was gonna. Here's the worst part: is I was going to try again the deep fat.
The deep fat.
I've not.
Did you have it?
Not done a great time. I've not. But what I did is I ordered. I don't know if you saw my tweet. Carlita asked me, she goes, can we just skip the big dinner and just go out? And I was like, I hate holidays. The only thing that will make holidays
you're going to have Chinese food like...
No. So what I did is I ordered the Whole Foods box.
Oh, that's not a bad way.
So it's like it all shows up. It's all pre-cooked. But that's my backup. So I am going to try to do the deep fat fry. But if I screw it up again, I just want to make sure I had a turkey.
I'm going to be making a turkey and a ham for Thanksgiving.
You're going to
a lot of people coming over. This is spatchcocking. You take the spine out of the turkey and you flatten it like roadkill. But it cooks. It really cooks evenly because it's flat.
Okay, that's my new experiment.
You should spatchcock this time. Actually, what you should do is spatchcock and deep fat.
Ooh. We should compare.
I'd have to have a especially large pan for that.
Deep spatchcock.
I am sous videing turkey for the first time.
Are you?
Are you?
Are you?
Yep, I bought like a couple of big whole turkey breasts. They are dry brining in the fridge as we speak.
And what are you using for the sous vide?
The Anova.
Yep, I have one.
That's the one right now. I ordered that one. Remember that one that was nothing yet.
It hasn't shown up? I have mine.
Not the Anova. There's that one that would chill it and then heat it.
Right,
It was integrated.
It was like an aquarium.
Yeah,
and it talked to your iPhone. It was a meat aquarium. Wonder what's happening to that.
It was a meat aquarium.
Where's my meat aquarium?
So many shows start that way.
That's part of Leo's performance writer.
I need a meat aquarium.
There's supposed to be a meat aquarium waiting for
Green
me.
M&Ms and meat aquariums.
Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for joining us. We do Mac Break Weekly around 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1900 UTC. If you want to join us live, you can also be in the chat room. We love that. But if you can't, of course, on-demand audio and video is always available after the fact. twit.tv/MBW is the website. Or find it on Overcast or Stitcher or iTunes. Yeah, every kind of podcast app. We're all up in those. Just find it, subscribe to it, get it every week because you don't want to miss an episode. Now, you know what it is time now? Time to get spatchcocking. Get back to work because break time is over.